Hello, I'm Stephen Boylan from Easons.com, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Conor O'Callaghan. His debut novel, Nothing on Earth, has just been published by Doubleday Ireland. Conor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for coming in. One of the most atmospheric and intriguing books I've read in a very long time. Tell us a little bit about Nothing on Earth.
Nothing on Earth is the story of a young family who return from living on the continent. After 12 years abroad, they end up living in the show house of what we now call a ghost estate. One by one, they disappear. The last one to disappear is the daughter, a 12-year-old girl, who ends up banging on the door of the nearest neighbour, an elderly man. And she stays with him for 2 nights and tells him the story of their life on this ghost estate, which he then retells. But because they disappear, and the girl disappears as well, he comes under suspicion. And it's as much his story as it is their story.
As I say, a incredibly atmospheric book. The heat, it's set over the course of a very hot summer, and the heat really kind of radiates off the page. There aren't any easy resolutions in the book, and a lot of it is left to your imagination. What is the attraction, or what are the challenges as a writer of writing a book like that?
I like the idea of leaving room for the imagination for the reader to actually enter the story and complete the story with their own imagination. I found it a really difficult thing to do, to be honest. There is this gravitational pull of the resolution that you want to actually tie things up at the end. But one of the things that I found about people reading the book was, apart from the actual action, which I really wanted it to be disturbing, I didn't want to write a heartwarming slice of life. People found the events described disturbing, but also they found the absence of a resolution kind of disturbing as well. And that pleased me greatly. So I kind of thought, I'm not going to have a resolution. It was a really hard thing to do, and I had to work hard and resist really strongly. But I do like the idea of the reader, in some senses, of leaving space for the reader to enter the story and complete the story with their own imaginations.
You're saying that your mother's not planning on reading it?
My mother has got through the first chapter, I think, twice.
Right.
I've noticed that she hasn't got much further. I kept wanting to say to her, are you going to read any more? And I think she finds it, I'm her son. I think she finds it slightly troubling that her son would write or set about writing, and I hope achieve writing, a somewhat disturbing book.
Kind of a ghost story, if you like.
Ghost story.
As I said, this is your debut novel, but you are a published poet. You've had a number of collections out before. From your own point of view, when you sit down to approach writing a novel, how very different is the approach than you sit down to write a poem?
My experience is that a poem is a very portable art form. You can do it anywhere. You can write while you're driving the car and basically pick up a notebook after you arrive and scribble some stuff. I don't think it's possible, or at least I haven't found it possible to do that writing a novel. I had to be very schematic about it. It's not a million miles from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. I also had a very structured approach. I wrote the whole story beginning to end in 5,000 words, doubled it up, wrote it in 10,000 words, doubled it up again in 20,000 words, all the time identifying spots in the story where I thought there was room for development, characters that either were going to be removed or going to be worked up, and then doubled it up to 40,000 words to 60,000 words and started to skim it back. So it was a very, very structured approach in terms of the writing process, in a way that writing a poem just isn't. It is slightly at the end, but mostly it's a very portable art form. Writing a novel isn't at all.
Oh, it's a much bigger undertaking, much bigger enterprise. As I say, you've written a novel, you've written poems, you've also written sports journalism before. What's next for Conor O'Callaghan?
I think I'm going to write a love story, to be honest. This could be famous last words, Stephen. Where is the love story that you said you were going to... But I did go around. One of the ways that Nothing on Earth actually happened was I had some idea, looking at the landscape of post-Celtic Tiger Ireland and the ghost estates and all this, especially in the low years, around about 2010, it seemed ripe for a ghost story. So I went around for about 6 months saying, I'm going to write a ghost story. Now I'm going around saying I'm going to write a love story. I like, thrillers that are beautiful and love stories that are terrifying. If I write a love story, and I intend to, it'll be a little small novella again, and It probably won't be your average love story.
Okay. So when you come back in a few years' time, we'll turn around. My first question will be, what happened to the love story, Conor? Obviously, we're big readers here. We love books at Eason's. Any books that you've read recently that you can recommend?
John Banville's The Blue Guitar. I think John Banville is an absolute genius.
Yeah.
I think he is, he would wince to hear me say it, but I think he is one of Ireland's national treasures. He's a great prose stylist, a writer of international standing. I think he's a genius, and I think The Blue Guitar is further proof of his genius.
Yeah.
I've recently read The Green Road by Anne Enright.
Superb.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Really funny, really moving book. A very original stylist. Vanessa Ronan's Last Days of Summer, I think, is a cracking book. Further afield, Zadie Smith's The Embassy of Cambodia. Absolutely gorgeous. It's a tiny little book,
yeah.
but it's really, really beautiful and really moving. And I think she is, someday when I grow up, I'm going to be Zadie Smith. That's just not going to happen. But I mean, she's just I think she's a genius, and I think what she does with language and what she does with voice and prose style is just amazing.
Well, good news is that there's a new novel coming from Zadie Smith this Christmas, so keep an eye out for that. Plenty of recommendations there. Conor, thank you so much for coming in to speak to us. As I say, Nothing on Earth is now published by Doubleday Ireland, available in all Eason stores and on easons.com, and we'll see you again soon.